Let us go to Happy Valley. Ohio State and Penn State. This is going to be fun. This is going to be, I don't think I've felt like Penn State had this big of a chance. I think I picked Penn State last year, but that was more just riding my Penn State's going to win the Big Ten pick. I didn't have a lot of faith in it when they got around to this game. But this time, this feels like a pretty even matchup. Ohio State's a 3.5-point favorite on the road. But if the teams are playing the way we've seen them play the last few weeks, I don't know what happens here.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult because I just pick Ohio State all the time because I think they have got really good players. And the only thing I can think about when it comes to this game is Ohio State's offensive line issue and what Penn State has up front. And because of that, I'm going to willingly and lovingly take the points in this game. I think that going on the road, Penn State's feeling really good about itself. We're not 100% sure, much like in the A&M game, what the quarterback situation is going to look like in State College, but they've got two quarterbacks that I think are capable and have very different styles, which could be a challenge. I don't know that I'm 100% convinced that Ohio State's not going to win, but 3.5 with the possibility of Penn State winning is just too good to pass up here. Ohio State's not playing well for whatever reason. They just don't look like what they're supposed to be, and they have a personnel issue that you can't fix with a week of preparation.
The fact that this spread gives you the option of an Ohio State win by a field goal and you still win,
yeah,
I think feels pretty comfortable. I don't think there's not an obvious play here because, like a lot of the commenters are saying, Ohio State, yes, still does have more better players. But if there's one spot you can exploit, that becomes a problem. Because it's games like this where you have superpower type teams where almost every starter is going to play in the NFL. Like it's like an NFL game. Like NFL teams tend to attack like one person on the opposing team. They find the weakest link on the opposing team and just attack it over and over. With Ohio State's situation on the offensive line, you would think that's what Tom Allen, the defensive coordinator at Penn State, is going to attack, because clearly it was an issue. Even when Zen Mikulski was playing against Nebraska, it was an issue. And then after they had to reshuffle, it was still an issue. So this is going to be a test for Tom Allen to see if he can exploit a weakness that Ohio State has shown, because Ohio State doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. Meanwhile, on the other side, if you are Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator at Ohio State, I imagine you're trying to figure out who's going to play. You're probably preparing for Beau Pribula and Drew Aller. My question is, if you're preparing for Beau Pribula, is it that different than preparing for Drew Aller, other than you've got to have a spy watching Beau Pribula in the run game?
Yeah, that's all part of the equation here, Andy. Like I said, and I'll say it again, big Trace McSorley vibes. And the thing that you have to go look to is that a lot of times when Ohio State plays Penn State, the spreads are a little bit bigger than this, but Penn State traditionally has James Franklin's talent, I feel like, is mucking up this game a little bit. Weird things tend to happen in this game. Ohio State, I think, rarely covers when they play them. It's just not the best spot to be in. Now, with Ryan Day, in the discussion here with the two coaches of whether or not he can win the big game, and, I was very critical of him over the weekend. You are always constantly waiting for Ohio State to have that big bounce back moment of okay, we've got the better players. We are superior. We're going to show it by flexing our muscles in a game like this. And it's you always anticipate that. You anticipated that against Nebraska, and it just did not happen. They almost lost. So if Ohio State comes out and beats anybody handily and looks like the much better team, that's not supposed to be surprising. It's just not. No.
The biggest game of the week, obviously, is Ohio State at Penn State in Happy Valley. Do you want to go to that game? Download the Game Time app. hit that GT Picks feature. You will see the best deals relative to the market. The ticks this one aren't that bad. Look, my wife woke up 8 days ago and said, I'm taking our daughter to the Eras Tour Taylor Swift concert in Miami tonight. We did not have tickets when she woke up at 8 a.m. last Sunday and said, I am taking our daughter to this concert that is 5.5 hours drive away and is tonight at 7 p.m. We got on Game Time and got amazing tickets. The photo you just saw, if you're watching the video of Taylor Swift, is a photo my wife took from her seat. That's what you can get on Game Time. And it doesn't matter if you decide the day of that you want to go. They have the tickets for you. So that Ohio State-Penn State game you want to go, they will have great tickets for you. Use the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. But absolutely, when you are in the app, use that GT Picks button. Press it because it'll tell you, hey, these are the best deals relative to the market. And they are. It will show you. And it's, a variety. Like, it can be a seat that's a little bit farther away, that's a little bit cheaper. But also, if you're looking for a really good seat, it'll give you the best price you can get on that really good seat. So download the Game Time app. Use code STAPLES. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
And I feel like if the spread was 3.5 and Ohio State beat Nebraska 55-21, like I thought they would, then I would hammer this the other way. But the offensive line issue, I don't know what's going to happen with Danny Dennis Sutton, who left the game. The defensive lineman, very good defensive lineman for Penn State. I don't know if there's been an update on his situation. But
Penn State's not usually going to give you any injury updates. So I don't think we're going to find out much about Aller.
But we could take
Danny Dennis Sutton.
What we saw with Danny Dennis Sutton coming back into the game, and then just it looked like he came out from a precaution.
And Aller, Franklin said on the broadcast, they interviewed him right before the half, and he said, oh, he'll be back. And then Aller tried to give it a go in the warm-ups at halftime and realized he couldn't. So that doesn't mean he can't now. It might mean just that at the very moment he couldn't do it. So we don't know what's going to happen with Drew Aller. It could be him. It could be Beau Pribula. I'm fascinated to see if it's Beau Pribula, what does Andy Kotelnicki put together offensively when he's building a plan around Beau Pribula?
Yeah, and he's really, really good at that. He's one of the better offensive minds in football. And, another interesting thing too, Andy, is, and like we have to have this discussion for at least 2 minutes, but both of these coaches coming into the game are viewed as ones who can't win the big game, right? Like, both of them. If James Franklin wins the game, that might be one of the biggest, if not the biggest win that he's had since. I mean, they did beat Ohio State during a year where they won the Big Ten championship game. So, but
it's either that one or the year they beat Ohio, 2016, when they beat Ohio State and won the Big Ten. The thing about that year is that obviously they didn't make the playoff and Ohio State did. Now, if there'd been this 12-team playoff,
to somebody else in the non-conference that year, I think it was
they lost to Pitt. They lost to Pitt. That was what it was.
Yeah. But if James Franklin wins the game, I think he's like vindicated, right? Like I think he can move forward feeling really good that he's able to do this. If Ryan Day wins the game, you're going to have people who say, well, Penn State's not who Ohio State needs to beat, blah, blah, blah. They have to win against Michigan and they have to win a playoff
move
game.
The goalposts.
They will.
Yeah.
They'll do it. And I might have even been guilty of it. But I think that if Ohio State wins this game, that unquestionably counts as a big game win for Ryan Day. So we have two coaches. Also, Ari,
if Ohio State wins at Penn State against this Penn State team, I'm very confident they'll be able to beat this Michigan team at home.
Yeah, and I'm still pretty confident that they'll beat Michigan this year. But it's just Ohio State's not supposed to be in the position right now where it's like, they could probably still lose this game and make the playoff, but it just feels like their season's hanging in the balance right now. So, and for a team that has this many good players, it's pretty crazy to be in that position as we head into November. So I'm going to take the points. I think that Penn State has a very good chance to win this football game. And it's time for Ryan Day to start proving people wrong.
I am also going to take the points because, like I said, You're giving me an Ohio State win by a field goal. You're giving me a 1-point, 2-point Ohio State win as an option as well. And I think Penn State's good enough to win this thing outright. So that it feels actually somewhat easy to take Penn State plus 3.5 in this game.
This game feels like it's going to be overtime for some reason. I don't know why.
It just does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Like the final score is going to be like 24-21, I think. Like, and it's exactly right where that number is too, because it's the total's 47.5. Like, this isn't going to be a Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate 200-yard receiving game. I don't think. I think they're going to have to win. I don't think
Penn State can win a game like that. So I think Penn State will try to keep it from ever becoming a game like that.
And the one thing Ohio State always needs to count on are the home runs that Quinshon Judkins and Trey Henderson can hit. And if you have a offensive line problem, which they couldn't run the ball against Nebraska, like how are they going to do that? So like this is a tough spot for Ohio State. I don't know how much I love, the idea of Ohio State covering here, which is why you and I are both on the points.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Big noon kickoff right off the bat. Coming out of the chute, should be a whiteout, should be a night, but we're going to have to settle for it being the kickoff to our Saturday, and that's going to be fun too.